Hello and welcome to this week's vlog from Maddisons. Well, Rightmove have come out with their latest data and very quickly on that, but it's just evidence that the boom is continuing. Asking prices were up 0.8% in the month of January. Of course, we don't quite know what prices achieved will be, but sales agreed were up a whopping 24% in London and just over 12% nationally, and that would be evidence that there is increased buyer confidence, which means you would expect asking prices to be being negotiated closer, so agreed prices getting closer to what people are expecting and hoping for, and we're certainly feeling that here in Maddisons. Rental increases as well. Some really interesting data came out. Over the last 10 years in London, rents have gone up over 45%, 24% nationally, and indeed the average rent now in the capital is £2,119 per calendar month, a whopping amount for anybody to find. So the rental market, despite the government pushing down on various tax changes to landlords, which is seeing some retraction from the market, certainly overall as an investment it seems to be generating great returns. Well, of course, the last couple of vlogs that I've done, I've looked at Georgian and then Victorian properties, and I promised you I'd have a quick look at Edwardian properties. Now, different to Georgian and Victoria, a very, very short period of architecture. It was Edward VII's reign, and that was basically from 1901 to 1910. However, the architecture continued for about 10 years after his death, probably to the early 1920s. And what changed from the Victorian and the Georgian era? Well, they were shorter houses. They didn't have the need for cellars because there wasn't such a need for servants. Big rise of the suburbs, so people moving to the city and finding that the inner city areas were now quite densely populated, so going to those outer suburb areas. Predominantly red brick buildings, much more simple features, big wide entrance halls. That's the biggest clue of an Edwardian property. They really liked a grand entrance hall and they loved parquet flooring. So parquet flooring started to come in the Edwardian era and certainly continued well into the 1920s. So properties that are in Edwardian era, well, it's difficult because it's such a short area. So for me to look at ones that we have on the market at the moment, I'm going to talk about one on Guildford Road. I might be corrected on this. I'm not 100% certain. It might be late Victorian. But my gut feeling is it just slightly wedges into the Edwardian era, mainly because of those very symmetrical bay windows, the square ones, which were a classic design feature of the Edwardian period. So this great little apartment that we've got for sale on Guildford Road, 2 bedrooms, on at offers in excess of $480,000. But as I speak, we are negotiating an offer and very close to closing it. More evidence of how phenomenally confident the market is feeling. We only launched that one last week and already looks like we're going to go to sale agreed on it. But I just wanted to talk to you about it because I think it is an Edwardian property. Well, of course, Harry Redknapp is doing that feature at the moment about living on Sandbanks. Sandbanks is a little peninsula off the coast of Poole in Dorset, and it's known as the Palm Beach of the Great Britain. And why? Well, quite simply, it's got stunning beaches around it and really beautiful architecture. So I want to talk about one property that caught my eye. We're not selling it, but it's come to market. It's a great 5-bedroom property set over 4 floors, even with its very own lift to each floor, so no long walks to bed every day. It's called La Bay. It's a stunning beachfront mansion designed by the award-winning architect Terence O'Rourke, and is home to the most magical views that are difficult to find anywhere else in the country, actually. Has a beautiful indoor heated swimming pool, private sauna, direct beach access, and is just a short distance from a number of championship standard golf courses. That's on the market with Lloyd's Property Group at just under £6 million. So if that tempts you, have a look. We hope you've enjoyed the vlog this week. I've been talking a lot about period properties. So next week I'm going to talk a little bit about a blog I'm going to post, which is period properties versus new build properties, the pros and cons of both. So if you've been tempted by some of that architecture, then I'll give you a balanced view on how they stack up against buying a new build property. Look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.